Yeah, that's a really big difference compared to punishment versus being taught.
It's Yuntaku time with Akko and Tamo.
What does Yuntaku mean? It's an Okinawan word from the islands of Okinawa, which means chit-chat. We want to invite you to our kitchen table and include you in our chit-chat to explore new ways of thinking, to welcome different perspectives,
And we want to share ideas on how to love yourself, love your partner, and shower your children with love.
This is episode 41.
And the topic of the day is how to discipline your child without drama. And before we get started, please take a quick moment to subscribe to our show. Now let's get back to our recent happening. So recently, our daughter has been really showing some maturity.
Yeah. She's 2.5 and it's been quite difficult. I don't want to say it's a terrible twos, just because just saying terrible two it's not really a positive thing, right? But the twos are where they're really trying to find their independence, and
Exactly.
they really, they've just started to walk around. Their body movements are getting better and just they want to do stuff. And it's been quite a difficult journey for us, but little by little, we've been practicing what we preach and really explaining to her why things are and why not to do certain things that could hurt her, and also giving her a lot of freedom in the areas that are safe and offers a lot of learning. So it's been really great to see she's been starting to listen to us. And although, of course, nothing is perfect, but she has made so much progress. I'm very much impressed. And it's been great.
Yeah, it has. We still have our tantrums here and there, but
Yeah.
it's, I would say it's like probably shortened or much less. Like we can actually catch it before it goes into a full-blown tantrum with just the stuff, like Tamo said, we've been preaching, especially the one that, we talked about connecting and redirecting, and we're going to talk about redirection today. But stuff like the connection part, I think it really helps her, because whenever she gets into like a crying spree or gets into those moods, she just really wants a hug. And
Yeah, I have to say that is exactly the words that I needed to use. It's the connecting, and then really giving her the space to express how she's feeling, and then be okay with that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it makes a big difference.
Yeah, like validating her feelings. Not the behavior, but validating the feelings.
Yeah. And then redirecting her to go into a more positive action, right?
Yeah. And it's really helped, just even giving her like, okay, we can't do this, but you can do this or that.
And giving her choices, that has been awesome too.
Right?
Yeah. So awesome. And thanks, Akko, for bringing all those things up and studying that, and for both of us for putting that into action.
Yeah,
it's been
absolutely.
really great. Okay, so going into the topic of the day, today's topic is how to discipline your child with heart. And Akko has been continuing to read the book No Drama Discipline, and it's been a really fantastic book. And she's been teaching me a lot of what she's been reading. So in this episode, we want to continue that. Akko, teach me what you've learned, and let's share it with everyone else.
Yeah. So this book, I cannot recommend enough. Like, it's been a game changer, actually. It's a must read. I think it'll help a lot of families out there that's struggling with their child misbehaving and just not listening to them. I think it'll help a lot by reading this book, or just listening to this podcast, because here is a Cliff Note version of what I've read and want to share with you guys.
Cool. Yeah, that sounds great. And I'm listening to you saying the word discipline, right? Can you explain discipline? And I want to just make sure, because when I think of discipline, I just think about punishment. In my case, discipline can actually be, in my upbringing, discipline meant punishment. If you can share what your thoughts are, or what your definition of discipline is.
Yeah. So with our upbringing, we thought discipline equals punishment or consequences. But in reality, the definition of discipline means to teach. And so it comes from a Latin word, which means to teach, learning. So what we want to do by disciplining our child is to teach our child.
Yeah, that's a really big difference compared to punishment versus being taught.
Yeah, exactly. So there's 3 main questions that you probably want to ask yourself when you're disciplining your child. So that is, why did my child act this way? What was happening internally and externally? Again, I think we explained in the previous podcast, like, things can happen. You have to know the context of what's happening in that situation. Maybe the child didn't get enough sleep. Maybe the child is hangry. There's a lot of reasons why they're acting the way they're acting. Number 2, what lesson do I want to teach? So what is it that you want to teach? And the third one is, how can I best teach it? If your child is not really receptive to like a conversation and they're more receptive to maybe playing, you can maybe reenact it by playing with their stuffed animal or whatnot. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Show the child this is what happens, and putting that stuffed animal getting hurt or didn't like it, showing it sad, things like that, right?
Yeah.
So she can or he can understand.
And then you can actually involve the child too. So you can involve the child in saying, what do you think is happening? What should we do when the person hits? So that they can get involved in the whole disciplining portion.
Okay.
Yeah, those are some of the things that you want to ask yourself before teaching. And in the book, they have 2 principles that you want to follow. So one is to wait until your child is ready, and 2 is to be consistent but not rigid. So you need to be flexible, but you need to follow through. What this means is you shouldn't rush into anything and demand your child to really understand. So you just want to wait till your child is ready. So if they're still crying, they're not ready. The downstairs brain, the more primitive brain, the reptilian brain is still engaged. So what you want to do is you want to wait till they're ready, wait till they're more calm, wait till the upstairs brain, the more conceptual, the more human brain is involved. And that's when you can talk to your child eye to eye and say, let's do a do-over. When you want my attention, you can say, Mommy, can you please give me a hug? Can you please, whatever it may be.
So you're saying, instead of saying just no, don't do that, or don't talk to me that way, instead of that, just saying, okay, that's not how you talk to mama or dada or anyone else. Let's try it again. Let's say it this way. And you're telling.
Yeah, let's say it in a more respectful way. And then, that's how you can say it. And so you're already teaching them, hey, I know you can do it, by saying, okay, let's do a do-over. And you can teach them how to talk in a more respectful way. And so again, don't rush, and then be consistent, but not rigid.
Yeah, that's great. I can also see how that applied to my situation, a situation that I've talked about in past episodes, which was getting our daughter ready to go out. And she wasn't ready. She wanted to play a little bit. And so I waited until she settled down. We played a little bit. And then after, she was good to go. And it was much easier. And so not every experience or not every situation will allow for that. But I can see how those principles fit exactly. And it made for a much better experience for both of us.
Yeah, exactly. So moving on, Dan Siegel writes about a formula in this book. And that is insight plus empathy equals mindsight. So insight plus empathy equal mindsight. So mindsight is the ability to see our own mind as well as the mind of another. So it allows us or the child to develop meaningful relationships while also maintaining a healthy and independent sense of self. So let's go over these words. So insight means you're helping your child understand their own feelings and their responses to difficult situations. So it's like introspecting.
Yeah. And maybe we can say like separate the 2 words. So in and then sight, like a sight for the inside, which is pretty cool.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, and then empathy, which means understanding and feeling what others are feeling. So you give your child practice in reflecting on how their action impacts others or how the others are feeling.
Yeah, that's a great point. And more going out on into the future, empathy is going to be even more important as humans, really, on what people are going through.
Exactly.
Things like that, yeah.
Yeah, emotional intelligence is getting really big, putting importance on the EQ along with the IQ. Right. So yeah. And so understanding mindsight repairs your child. So you ask your child what they can do to make things right. You're actually showing the kid how to problem solve by themselves. And that's a really big life skills that you are trying to teach your child at a young age.
Yeah, that's awesome, because the insight that I had from that is that if you punish a child, it's pretty much just stop what you're doing. You're punished. Yeah. Time out or whatever it is, and you just get in trouble. And the parent, in most cases, I would think, expresses anger at the child for doing a certain action. And that's the end of it. And with this method, you're actually teaching that, hey, this action is very much undesirable, but what can you do to make it better? What can you do to repair it? What can you do to fix the situation? And critical thinking, it's empathy, it's insight. It's really fantastic. It's definitely the next level of understanding of parenting.
I wish I knew these skills at a young age. Some adults need to develop these skills because maybe as a child they weren't able to pick up those skills?
Oh, no, not at all. Because looking back at my childhood, it's not our parents' fault or anything like that, but those tools, they didn't understand those tools. They didn't know those tools existed.
Yeah,
and even this was written way after we were born. So there wasn't any information like this. But I can see if we did have this, wow, like we would have had a really great start to life.
Yeah. We had to just learn on the way. But
not even through our parents, but it's personal work.
Yeah, exactly. Through experience, through reading books, through just, literally like working on ourselves. If we can instill this into our kids, wow, what a game changer. And the world will become a better place,
Yeah, I guess if we look at it from a bigger perspective, this is what we can do as parents to help improve the world, because how we raise our children, if they have a head start, and when I say head start, I don't mean it's a competition between your child and other children. No, not at all. What I'm saying is a head start in health, in emotional health, physical health, mental health, and spiritual health. And so if we can give our children a head start, it's so much better. They don't have to go through what we went through.
Exactly.
And they can express and become themselves even sooner, and then that will benefit the world in turn, right?
Exactly. So an easy way to understand this type of discipline is by the acronym REDIRECT. So R is reduce words, E is embrace emotions, D is describe, don't preach, I is involve your child in the discipline, R is reframe no into a conditional yes. E is emphasize the positive. C is creatively approach the situation. T is teach Mindsight tools. So that's the redirect. So I'll just go ahead and just briefly go over the redirect. R, reduce words. So you want to reduce the amount of words that you use. Don't lecture the kids about their mistakes. You don't really want a long-winded conversation about that. E is embrace emotions. So you're trying to validate their emotions, but not really their misbehavior. So that's a difference that makes the biggest difference. So you want to validate that they're angry, but not validating that misbehavior. D is describe. So you don't want to preach. You want to show them and help them recognize the bad decision that they're making. So let's say that they're supposed to put their shoes away or whatnot. You can describe the situation by saying, there's a lot of shoes right in front of the front door. So that's another way of saying it, so that they can be like, oh, yeah, there are a lot of shoes blocking the front door. Oh, it's because I didn't put the shoes away. So you're planting the seed in their mind so that they can problem solve themselves. You're showing them what stuff to look at. I is involve your child in the discipline. So you want to make your child feel more involved in the process of discipline. Then they feel more respected. They feel like they have a say in this, and you're promoting the whole teamwork in the parent and child. So you want to always, even in couples, if you're getting into an argument, the argument is the enemy, and you and your partner are
on the same team.
Yeah.
So you're not fighting each other.
Exactly. So and the same goes for this discipline. You and your child are in the same team, and you are trying to figure out how to conquer this enemy, which is the bad behavior. So that's something that you want to do. You want to involve your child in the discipline. You can ask them, okay, if I did this, what kind of consequences you guys should be able to agree on? And then R is reframe a no into a conditional yes. So instead of saying, no, you can't do that, no, you can't do that, kids will be defeated if they hear so many no's. So instead of saying no, let's say they want to go to the store or they want to go to a friend's house. You can say, of course you can go to the store. Of course you can go to your friend's house. How about this weekend? So you can reframe it that way so that you're not technically saying no, but it's a conditional yes. E is emphasize the positive. You don't want to scold the negative behavior, but you want to embrace the positive behavior. You want to encourage those positive traits. So whenever they're doing something great, emphasize that they're doing something great. You don't want to always like praise them by saying, oh my God, you're so good, you're so smart, because that can also lead down the rabbit hole, because then they're going to be like, oh, I'm not smart.
You don't want that to be the goal. You want the effort, the grit you had, all the positive things leading up to the praise or the goal is the more important thing.
Exactly,
right?
exactly. So that's something that you want to really focus on. You want to say, that tower is so high, stuff like that. Not, oh my gosh, good job, you are so brilliant. They get used to that, and that doesn't really help the child grow.
Or something like, oh, yeah, you've used a lot of blocks to build this. That's a really tall tower that you've made. How many blocks are there? And just involve them in that way too.
Exactly. And the next is creatively approach the situation. So So not all kids are the same, and some kids might be more playful than others. Like our daughter, she loves to play chase. So I feel like once she gets that out of her system, she's ready and receptive to learn. So that's something that we go to a lot as far as teaching her. But you can do a lot of creative games.
In our case, our daughter really loves the poop emoji. And so we created a character out of it. We have a stuffed doll in the poop emoji form, and then we use it to talk to our daughter. And so we have a funny voice for it and go, hey, let's get ready, things like that. And then she gets really excited, And so that's been a creative way to connect with our daughter and teach her and ask her to do things.
Yeah, exactly. Next is teach Mindsight tools. So this is pretty much what we've been doing this whole time. You're connecting, you're redirecting, you're teaching your child how to empathize, you're teaching your child how to problem solve, you're teaching your child how to listen to their emotions and how to listen to their body. So that is the redirect tool. This way of teaching really helps the child build the life skill of problem solving, critically thinking, empathizing, just a lot that you can teach to your child. And sometimes you did all the steps and sometimes it just won't work. So I do want to let parents know that. Dan Siegel and Tina Bryson explains this in the book. These tools might not work for the child, as in some situations, not all the time. It will work, but not all the time.
Yeah, these things, it really depends on the situation, depends on the child and how the child is feeling, how you're feeling. So these are the ideals to strive for. You don't be hard on yourself, don't be hard on your children for this. This is just a great map to understand the territory of how your child can be disciplined, which means in our case, we're using it as being taught.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah. In the book, they talked about a situation where a daughter wanted the mom take her to school. But then the mom had to do stuff, like the mom had to go to work and stuff. So she just literally physically couldn't. So the dad had to. And the mom stayed there, validated her feelings, did the conditional yes, and did pretty much all there is to the redirect. But the daughter just kept crying and she just wouldn't take that. So what had to happen was that the dad had to carry his crying daughter. So situations like that will happen. Sometimes it just doesn't work, like we said.
Yeah. So it really depends, but it's great to try it out and continue to try it out because you will get better. Just like we mentioned in our recent happenings, our daughter, connecting and before redirection has been helping so much, and we're really starting to see the fruits of that. And so know that their work needs to be put in. When you're putting that effort into parenting your child, just even that focus, attention, the love will transmit through to your child. Those difficult times do come, and we really empathize with you.
Yes.
It's not easy, but we're also cheering you on.
Yeah, exactly.
The question of the day is, have you tried using the redirect method? If so, how has it changed your child?
We love to hear from you. Please come say hi by commenting on our website by going to akkoandtamo.com. That's AKKOANDTAMO.com and clicking on the podcast tab.
All right. See you soon.
Bye.